Hello. I want to get into an essay on art that I wrote quite a while back about a piece of sculpture that I did over 25 years ago. Okay. It's been a long haul for this piece of sculpture. And this essay is called Even Art Has a Destiny. As you will see, when I relate this story to you, it's quite interesting. Some will find it fascinating how it evolved. I find it so fascinating that I just had to include it in the series. I'm talking about a piece of work called the Sphinx. This is the work of art I'm talking about. It's a sculpture, 1 meter high, carved by hand out of redwood and embellished around and around, up and down, with different mechanical parts. However, it didn't always look this way, and that's where the story starts to get interesting. All right? Now, this sculpture is called the Sphinx. I think you all know about the Sphinx. It's an Oedipus tragedy. It held a riddle. And if someone didn't find the answer to the riddle, this monster would devour them on the spot. About 25 years ago, but I suppose it could have been yesterday, I set in motion a chain of events that would convince me there is such a phenomena as destiny. I guess I'm talking about two different things here in this essay. Fate, or destiny, if you wish to believe in it, because many people do not. And art. The destiny part and the art all coming together somehow. What happened with this work of art for me proved to me somehow that destiny plays a role in our lives and plays a role in the lives of other things, even inanimate things. So, I call it the destiny supposition because I started noticing, this is 25 years ago or so, certain coincidences repeating themselves frequently throughout my life. This repetition directed my attention to a pattern forming right in front of me. In the past, when I noticed some of these patterns, I relegated them to the back of my mind as chance. Later, I became convinced that some of or all of these occurrences were not chance at all. How this could be, I had no idea, but it was in the way circumstances formed and what their effect was to other things which convinced me otherwise. The idea of destiny has always fascinated me. I started reading up on the ancient Greeks. I had to know more. What better place to start than the great civilization of ancient Greece? Now, these people were a serious lot. They did not leave one stone unturned in their quest for knowledge. Consequently, they were very deep thinkers. They did not practice science as we know it today, but they had invented their own method of inquiry, which seemed to work just as thorough. They followed their thoughts to certain conclusions and then proceeded to push these thoughts out of the box and reach totally new conclusions. It was amazing what they came up with. Destiny or fate was one of them, because they too started noticing circumstances repeating themselves, patterns happening throughout life over and over again, and for different reasons or for a dominating reason. So they noticed it, and I started to notice it. And that's why I went back to them. Now, after all their prodding and probing, it was evident to them destiny existed in their lives. They finally came to that conclusion. It seemed to play as important a role as breathing. They totally believed in it. Absolutely. There was no doubt in their mind. To the ancient Greeks, certain things were meant to be. The sun was irrefutable. Without it, all life would not exist, so it had to be. Water had to be for the same reasons. They followed this inquiry for years, asking what had to be and what not. They concluded that everything that exists and happens is everything's destiny or fate. Nothing for them existed outside this law. This incorporated everything from atoms to every speck of dust, to every birth, life, and eventual death of an individual or animal, and everything in between. Every personal free choices were just destined to be made, as were even personal free choices were destined to be made, as were dreams and disappointments. It encompassed all happiness and suffering, all diversions, speculations, and plans. Everything was affected by this destiny supposition. They knew they had stumbled upon something especially important. They included fate into every tragedy, comedy, and historical drama. Why did they do this? They involved fate into every myth, story, and poem they wrote. Their sculptures and architecture were imbued with this insinuation of destiny. It is a wonder to our speculative minds why they were so swayed by this reality. After all, we are not at all convinced, as they were, of the existence of destiny. Many people today don't even believe in it. Our civilization looks upon the destiny theory with silent insolence and relegates the idea to superstition. How arrogant we are. After all, we are above this sort of thing. Could there be a flagrant error in our judgment of this? I wonder. Surely reality in all its guises does not depend on science to justify its existence. It has been proven that there are elements of reality that science cannot and perhaps will never explain. Let us delve, therefore, into the world of the unexplained in our quest to discover what reality might be as opposed to what we want it to be. It seems a lifetime ago when I sculpted out of wood a female nude, and I called her the Sphinx. Now, the Sphinx, as we all know from Greek mythology, was a female hybrid creature. She terrified all men who crossed her path. She had a riddle she used to trap those who thought they could outsmart her. She lived at a crossroads. All who wanted to enter the city of Thebes had to go by her first. Everyone who tried to pass had to find the answer to her riddle. If they failed, they met their death. She would skin them alive with her talons and proceed to devour them. She was half a woman and half a eagle, vulture, that kind of thing. having also the paws of a lion and so forth. Only Oedipus found the answer and slew her. It's a fascinating story and lends gravity to the sculpture, to be sure. If you want to know more about the Oedipus story, look up Greek mythology and Greek tragedies, and you will find Oedipus tragedy and read it, and you will discover how the Sphinx plays a role in this story. Now, when I finished carving the Sphinx, I was unfortunately dissatisfied. Why was I dissatisfied? We're going to discover that in the next time around. Take care.